And this '04 season, I think everybody remembers the 18 strikeout game against the Atlanta Braves. That has only been done twice since he did it by anyone in Major League Baseball. Corey Kluber, Max Scherzer did it a few years ago. I don't know if there just aren't going to be that many games like that because people aren't even going to pitch into the eighth or let alone the ninth inning anymore. But what really sticks out about that day? What do you think about when you think about that 18 strikeout game?
For one, they could have they could have more games in today's world if they just keep their pitch count down because the strikeouts are up. I mean, I seen something the other day, the Brewers struck out 18 in like 2 games in 2 weeks or something. So with today's game, them feats are very, very reachable if you could just figure out a way to do it in less pitches, like you said, because the pitch count's such a big deal, in today's world. But that day really just, probably the breaking ball is probably what stuck out, and how many people were just swinging at balls that, I mean, if you watch the video, heck, I might have not even swung at these balls, but that day, everything's going right. Took it and did well enough early to get to them shadows late, which anybody that hits knows it's hard to hit in them shadows, But I mean, like I always joke, I said them shadows are there every day game for what, 20 years now, 22 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody's got the same opportunity, and I mean, to do it that day was just special. I mean, little by little they add up, and then you look up and hell, you at the end, you're like, this is pretty good.
Yeah. Where did you learn that curveball? Was that something you always had in your arsenal? Do you have a high school coach? Like, where did that come from?
Backyard tennis ball, I guess.
Really? Okay.
I mean, if you look at my career, like a big knock was always 2 pitches. Well, I mean, hell, you don't think I didn't try to learn a third, a fourth, or fifth pitch? I couldn't. It's some guys are more talented than others. That was the 2 I had. That was the 2 I had from when I was little. And maybe in today's world where they got slow motion cameras and pitch design and stuff like that, I could have, but I couldn't shape anything else. And one time Mike Maddox told me, he goes, I think you'd be shocked at how good your changeup is. And so we go look at the stats. I said, you're right, I am shocked. They were 7 for 9 on it. I was like, I didn't realize it was that bad. Yeah.
Well, it's the effort that counts, the thought that counts, I guess.
Yeah. It was a terrible pick.
Another game in 2004 that I personally think was just as good as the 18 strikeout game is a near no-hitter in California against the Angels. You took it might have even been a perfect game into the 7th when Vlad Guerrero hits a ball off his shoe tops for the first hit of the game in the 7th, and then this game goes to I think the 16th or 17th, and the Brewers end up winning 1-0. Craig Counsell had a hand in that win, I believe. So do you think about that game at all? That's one that sticks out for me. I don't know if that one really made a ripple for you, but that one struck me as one of your best performances.
I need to send Vladdy a gift card these days because if I'd have thrown 9 perfect innings, I'd have been kind of upset. Not get a perfect
0-0. Yeah.
But I mean, anybody else, that'd be a good pitch. Vladdy, a ball bouncing, like, it ain't the only one he's ever hit, So it's like just one of them things. We know when you face him, you really got to expand. And I mean, like, sometimes you can't expand enough. Like, them balls you've seen in the Braves game was the balls you need to throw to him because he was such a good hitter and he was such a good bad ball hitter. He could hit anything over his head, behind his back, under the world. Like, it didn't matter. Like, he was just that guy. But I remember that game, and we went 16 or 17, won 1-0. That was a big time win. That was a cool event, and it seemed like it would never end. I'm sure the hitters didn't enjoy that game at all, or either team.
No, right. All right, a game that I want to know about that you did not pitch in is the finale from the 2008 season. I'm really curious about this stretch because I know that you had arm problems down the stretch. You had such a good 2008 season, and I feel like that gets forgotten because of how good CC Sabathia was. But you leave a start. I think it's mid-September against I don't remember against who, but tried to come back for this Cubs game, and then had to leave with an injury. Ended up getting Tommy John surgery, so it was a serious situation. That finale, the Brewers finally break through for the first time in your career, and you're on the sideline. So I mean, I'm curious, like, bittersweet. Were you in the dugout? How did you absorb all that? Because you're like Moses. You got them to the promised land, and then you didn't get to pitch in the playoffs. How do you look back on that moment?
Yeah, that was a crappy situation, individually, personal, but I mean, we had worked so hard, you know, from 01 when I got there to put ourselves in that position that it was rewarding because I mean, all them guys were in the same situation. We were bad and they were there, you know. Not as long, but I mean they were there to watch some of the years and they were there to watch the transition. So to see some guys take advantage of big moments was pretty nice, pretty insane. And Braun was one of my favorites, you know. I mean, he was one of my favorite teammates and him to have that moment and CC was a big shot in the arm and you know, I mean, when you look back, it is what could have been. You pick up CC, you know, and soon as we're getting Giovanni back from injury, I'm getting injured. You know, what if you got them three at one time? That's probably a whole different scenario. Might not win because I think the Phillies won it all that year. Maybe they were the best team. You know, but I'm sure everybody plays the what if game if we'd have had that, you know, at full strength, what we could have been.
Were you physically?
But it did. It sucked. It sucked. I was there. It sucked on the individual level not being able to go out there, you know, because something that I enjoyed, and I didn't pitch just to have a job. I pitched because I actually enjoy pitching, and that's still what I miss today is actual playing of the game. It ain't as much the locker room like people talk about or traveling or stuff like that. I actually miss the actual game itself of playing baseball.
Yeah, and I think people probably forget that you were headed into free agency, and so Sabathia gets credit, you know, every 3 days, sort of putting that on the line for the team. But I mean, I feel like you did the same thing. Like you were pushing yourself beyond, you know, your physical boundaries. It didn't work out in your second to last start because you had to leave. But I don't know, man. I feel like you get nobody acknowledges that if you hadn't put yourself through that.
Nobody. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody cares if you're not successful. And that's just the nature of the beast. You know, if I'd have went out there and threw scoreless innings and had the same rest of the career, I'd be a iconic hero that laid it all on the line and did this. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of it. It didn't go my way. The ball didn't fall. I mean, if I go out there and pitch and they hit line drives right at people, like I said, and it's 2-1 and I win the game, I'm, you know, Willis Reed. So I understand the fans' frustrations with that, but I'm a sports fan too, and I get frustrated with injury. But it's just, unfortunately, it's just part of the game. And I mean, honestly, I was going into free agency, and I set myself up really nice. And looking back, if I'm just a business guy and I stop at the first Twins, like I'm probably fine, and I probably make a boatload of money, and you know, probably get my arm fixed while I'm under contract and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that ain't the route. I still wouldn't go that route because to me it wouldn't sit right if I didn't try and see if I could help the team. You know, unfortunately, I couldn't. You know, the last good game I think I threw was 1-0 against Jake Peavy.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. That was a lightning fast game too. That game came up when the Brewers had a couple fast ones this year. That one came up.
It is funny though, like you said, like a lot of that's forgotten. Like that 08 season was a good season for me, and you know, I mean, it takes two halves. I mean, if the guys that had good first halves didn't have good first halves, would you make a move for CC? You know, would you even be in position to do that? That's the questions, you know, but
yeah,
I get it. I mean, nobody cares about the forefront because if a guy struggles all year and then goes 7 for 10 in the World Series, you know what I mean? If the White Sox make the World Series and he plays well in the playoffs, nobody cares that he didn't play well.
Mm-hmm.
That don't matter. You know,
yeah.
So it's understood when you become an athlete. And I always tell my kids and the kids I coach, like, you just got to be there. You got to be available in the big moments. You got to show up in the big moments. Like, I mean, it does no good to be good when nobody's watching. It does do good. I shouldn't say that, but it's best to be at your best when it's time to be good.
Yeah.
That was a good trait that I had, like growing up, was that when I went to USA Baseball in college, if I threw 90, 94, when I went out there, I threw 94, 98. You know, if you look at my All-Star games, my arm always showed up. If you look at my opening day starts, like the big games that I always was a little bit better in reality of what I really was. You know, and that's why that was like the big mission. I always thought if I could get to the postseason and pitch, I always thought that I could really probably open more eyes, you know, with my ability than I did when I was there. But that being said, I never got. I never did it. I couldn't make it to the finish line at the end.